speaking opportunities. I certainly didn't have any. So that can be problematic because number one, it's not, of course, income coming in. And then number two, you might get rusty with all of that time off. If you go 8 months before your first speaking engagement, well, that's 8 months, it's a long time before you go back in front of an audience. So something which can be very beneficial here is instead of waiting for people to give you an opportunity, create your own opportunity by making an event. And this event, it could be a workshop, it could be a more formal event, it could be anything you like. But it's an opportunity for you to do a bit of speaking and invite people along to it. And this is how I actually started my speaking business in many ways. I would create events, I would do 1 hour events, half-day events, full-day events, and people would come along. And again, they would get a sense of what I would do, and occasionally it would lead to more work in terms of inviting me to come into their organization or to do one-to-one training or another stuff like that. But when you are creating events, there are 3 things that you do need to bear in mind. And you might want to write these down as we go. The first is you need to think carefully about the topic of your event. Now, when it comes to selecting a topic, what do you think should be our guide in doing that? What will help us create a topic which will attract people to our event? Any ideas? Teresa, go ahead.
Something you're passionate about, something that you really feel strongly that you want, a message you want to give.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, passion needs to be there, right? If you're not enthusiastic about your event, if you don't care about it, it's just not going to transfer, is it? Absolutely.
Maybe a catchy title. Catchy title that will interest. Yeah.
We've got a few ideas. Let me come around the room. Bookie, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd also say something that's linked to the services that you provide.
Yes.
So you can offer them.
Yes. I mean, it would be weird if I did an event on gymnastics when I'm a public speaking trainer, right? And there needs to be synergy, absolutely. I saw a few other hands. Eve, go ahead.
Yes, something that it will give value, it would be useful for your audience. So they have a reason to come and see you.
Yeah.
Join the event.
Absolutely. Kathy, were you going to say the same thing?
Something kind of similar. What is it that people are searching for? Just go on Google and search, put in the keywords, what are people searching for? And it'll all pop up.
Yeah, this is the key point. Your topic needs to be crafted around what your audience are interested in. I would love to do a whole hour workshop on pausing. Just the art of silence in a presentation. I would love to do that. But the reality is my audience are far more interested in overcoming the fear of speaking or learning how to be engaging with their speaking. So I have to follow that and create workshops around those things instead of the things I want to do. So it's very important that you have your audience in mind when you're selecting your topic. The second thing for your event is whether it will be offline or online. Now, let's weigh this up. If you were doing an in-person, offline event, what would be the benefits of that, in your opinion? What would be the benefits of an in-person event? Claire Miller.
You get to see the whites of their eyes, and you've got a lot closer contact. And for myself, it's a lot easier to engage in creating a story with people who are literally right in front of me. It's a different dynamic when I'm on a computer.
You feel their energy, don't you? You feel their energy, you gain a better understanding if they're understanding the information or not, and you tend to take them out of their distractions, which is great at the same time. Any other benefits of in-person events? Any other benefits? Nicola?
You can see the reactions more. Because I noticed when I was speaking last week, I only saw a few people at the top, and you can't really tell if they were engaged or not engaged or not.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Because if you're speaking online, you're probably looking at you hopefully should be looking at the lens of your camera, and that means you can't look at your audience as much as well. Janice, I see you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I think people are more inclined to come and ask you questions and talk to you when you're there in person than they are online.
That's a great point. That's
Yeah.
a great point. It's easier, isn't it? It's less
Yeah.
daunting instead of unmuting and doing all of that. 100%, 100%. Now, look, there are downsides as well to in-person events. I mean, number one, it requires a venue. You need to find a place where you can speak. That might be at a cost. Number two, it's hard. It's not as easy for people to attend an in-person event as an online one. It requires more effort, right? They have to get themselves ready. They have to make sure that they've got some trousers on. They have to make sure they're smelling good, and then they have to go to your venue, right? Online, they don't have any of that. And then thirdly, another thing as well to think about when it comes to your in-person events is that sometimes you can only reach the people in your area. So if I was to do an event in Glasgow, Scotland, only people in Glasgow, Scotland will come along. If I was to do an event in Oslo, Norway, where Tina is, only people in Oslo will come along, right? So you're limiting yourself to where you are. Now, if you do an online event, those three things flip, right? Number one, it's easier for people to come along. They just press a button and here they are. Number two, you can speak to the world as well, which can be very powerful at the same time. And then number three, you don't need a venue. You can just do it on Zoom, which is a lot cheaper. But we do have the restrictions. It's not as interactive. It's not as, you don't feel the energy. You have all of those things to consider. So you have to weigh this up in terms of your speaking style, what you want your event to be. Will it be better online or in person? That's a decision for you to make. And then the third thing I want you to think about when it comes to your event is whether you make it a free event or a paid event. Now, in my opinion, for free events, you will get more people signing on for your event, okay? You'll get more people booking tickets, if you like. But probably only about 40% will show up. And that's something to consider because for whatever reason, people just do not value free events as much, and they'll sign up, but they won't necessarily show up. Now, with your paid events, you will get less people signing up, okay? There won't be as big a number, but you will get more people showing up who have signed up, if that makes sense. You know, because there's that, like, even if you just spend £5 on something, you're more likely to go to it because you've put in that financial commitment, you know? So that can be more beneficial in that way too. Furthermore, what I found in my experience is that people who come along to free events sometimes just do it because it's free. And they're not actually thinking about working with you later on. They just want the free information and then they go. So by having even a small price point, you maybe qualify people a little bit better for your events too. But these are all things that have to be considered. I can only speak from my experience. I know other people who have had great success with free events. What I want to do now is just give you, say, 60 seconds alone. Imagine that you are going to be putting on an event. I want you to think about